Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Social Media Manager for HAR. I'm joined this morning by our Director of Political Affairs and TREPAC, Karen Driscoll. Karen, welcome.
Thank you, Christina. Thanks for having me this morning. I appreciate it.
This is your first time on here. I'm so excited.
Yes.
Since it's your first time on here, for those members that are tuning in, can you just explain to us your role here at HAR and just kind of introduce yourself for us?
Well, as Christina said, I'm Karen Driscoll, HAR's Director of Political Affairs and TREPAC, and yes, that's a mouthful, but really, we're in customer service here at HAR. That's first and foremost. So basically, what I do is we make opportunities for the members to engage with elected officials. We interview candidates, and then also on the political side, I'm in charge of all the PAC fundraising duties. So that's educating about the PAC, the fundraising events, all the accounting. That's not so much fun part, but we make sure it all happens and make sure it's all really great. So
that's good. Okay, so you mentioned the PAC,
yes,
which is TREPAC, right?
Yes.
Can you tell us what is TREPAC?
TREPAC is the Texas Association of Realtors Political Action Committee,
okay.
Or it's also known as the Texas Real Estate Political Action Committee,
okay.
Because it's really the realtor's voice at all levels of government. And TREPAC, you've also can probably sometimes hear RPAC, which is the Realtor Political Action Committee. They're all the same thing, so it's all synonymous.
Okay, and there is a big anniversary this year for the RPAC, right?
Yes, it's the 50th anniversary of RPAC, which is amazing, and it's really great because that's really the realtor voice, and it's the realtor party, and it's the advocacy. It's really the huge benefit to the association is the fact that when all the realtors join together, their voice gets louder and louder and louder, and I've a million realtors across the nation. When we speak at the national level of government, they listen, and because we create these relationships.
Yeah, that's great. So what are some of the topics, if you will, that TREPAC and RPAC kind of get involved in?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. But they're all real estate related.
Okay.
So that's the basis of it. So like when we meet with all the candidates, we have a specific candidate questionnaire that we go through with them. It's regarding flood insurance, it's regarding property taxes, transfer taxes, eminent domain, all the private property rights of the state of Texas and the national level.
So only things that would affect realtors, the real estate industry,
realtors and
homeowners.
your clients.
Yes,
yeah.
And homeowners,
yes.
Right? Yeah. Okay, very good. So we've heard this in the past, and this is kind of, we put out a fact or fiction thing a couple of months ago, and this was a question that we get a lot from our members, and that's just about what type of candidates TREPAC supports. If we support one particular political party over another. Can you kind of explain that process and how these candidates are actually selected on what you're going to support?
Well, we don't support one party over the other. We're nonpartisan, so that means that we interview all candidates in an open race. When we do decide to interview, we meet with all the different candidates, and we base our decision based on their real estate views on our issues that we just mentioned. And that way, we support both Republicans and Democrats, and some that are neither of those big parties. So at the national level, if you really kind of want to give the numbers, if you support 52% Republican and 48% Democrat. So that's actually pretty even.
Yeah, it's almost an even split.
And so it's just different, every year the political climate is different. So it does change for every year or every 2 years, depending on the election cycle. But we really do it based on the candidate and their answers and their knowledge of the real estate industry and what we do.
Okay, very good. So we had a big year this year with the legislative session. Can you tell us what are just some big wins for TREPAC just recently?
For the most recent wins, that was ending forced annexation. That was big in the state of Texas because lots of the smaller municipalities were fearing that they were being forced to annex to larger municipalities and they would lose their services and their ability to do what they wanted to do in their communities. And so that was a really big deal. So now that the state has decided that you have to have a vote of all the property owners in that area in order to have annexation of that area. So it's really great. And then on top of that was property tax reform. Really big deal in the state of Texas.
Yes.
We have, that's kind of one of the things that's kind of our hot button topics. And so, for years we've talked about the hidden property taxes and transparency in the property tax process because it's a long, complicated process, and not the average consumer won't really understand it. And that's what we're all talking about today is the ease of the consumer and making sure they understand what they're doing, even with all the new closing documents and stuff. So the new added bit, the changes in the property tax system will now add to that level of transparency.
I think it's that they don't know what they're doing, but also that they don't know where resources are. They're confused about how to find those resources, and also just the time it takes, out of a busy schedule to go, do this investigating. I think it's helpful that it's becoming a little more clear.
Exactly, more clear, and then also remembering you can always go to your realtor for a lot of those resources.
Exactly.
And so that's what they're here for. And also making that easier for the realtor to be able to access that information. So it was really a great benefit to our state.
Great. Any other big wins recently?
And the last one, kind of a big one, was the disaster relief funding.
Okay.
So that, of course, even this past week with our flooding situation, Houston is, it's so important that we get this money and that we have these plans in place for when these things happen. And so, some of the funding comes from the national level, has to trickle down through the state. So even our very own Senator Brandon Crichton was very important in getting this legislation passed. So that's really exciting.
That's great. So if you're watching this morning, we are on with Karen Driscoll, our Director of Political Affairs and TREPAC. If you have any questions for her, type them into the questions section and we'll get to those questions. And also don't forget, we are doing a drawing at the very end of this for a $50 Supercenter gift card. If you are registered for the Engage conference taking place next month, you are already entered in the drawing. So be sure to tune at the end. Karen's going to be pulling that name for us.
Pick the winner.
Yes, absolutely. And I see a lot of people telling you good morning and hi this morning already.
Good morning, everybody.
So if you have a question for Karen, you can type that into the comments. So I've heard in the past about TREPAC saving realtors money, which, they're looking at it as an investment, but how exactly is that an investment and how does that save them money?
So because of our work that we've done, not in just the most recent legislative session, but for many years, we have actually gotten laws passed that have saved realtors money, and then also their clients extra money. Because of course, when something happens with your client, because it often trickles back to the realtor and their pocketbook, unfortunately. So really one of the biggest ones that we did was the tax on professional services. We stopped that. And so that means that you don't have to pay an additional tax on your income or what they're doing every day. And then on top of that was the tax on their ad valorem vehicle. That was I think that was several years ago, maybe I've been here at HAR a long time, so 4 or 5 years ago, that was a big deal that you would almost have to pay an average of $600 extra a year because you use your vehicle for both personal and business. And just eliminating that put $500 back in their pocket right away.
That's great. Can you explain, because this is another big one that was kind of recent, the proposed transfer tax. Can you explain that? Because a lot of realtors don't know anything about it, and I think it's just such an important big win that is protecting the real estate industry.
It was a huge win for our industry in the state. We actually got a constitutional ban on the transfer tax of real estate completely across the board, which was amazing because it means it can never come up again. And that allowed for, even like for municipalities, they can't even, so the city of Houston, who a long time ago proposed a $5 tax on the transfer of each property to pay for, I don't even know what it was for at the time, that wouldn't be able to be the case anymore. So now, like, you and your client would both save because you're not paying those additional fees on each transfer of property. And that would have been each time it changed hands, even after the fact that, even if there wasn't a complete transaction, it was just within the family. So
it's kind of scary to think about, because if you think that, the seller is basically going to be paying to sell their home, if you want to put it in those words, right? And a lot of sellers, they get to, it's a tight, it's tight when they're getting out to closing, and
that closing table is a nervous situation to begin with.
And
you don't want to add to it.
And if they have this additional fee, then are they going to want to pay a realtor fee is the question. So it's a huge win, I think, for TREPAC.
Eliminating all of those additional fees, that confusion at the closing table, is really is what we're about, and just making sure those transactions run smoothly.
That's awesome. So I've heard this phrase time and time again. If real estate is your profession, then politics is your business. Can you explain, what does that mean?
Well, because politics and the government impact so many different levels of the real estate profession, from anything from where you can put your signs for open houses to the tax that you're going to pay at the end of the day on your income and what's happened in the transaction. And so if you're involved and being aware of these issues and being able to communicate them even better to your clients would be really awesome. And it allows you to have that extra tool in your toolkit that you are marketing even better and you're working even harder every day for your clients.
Okay, awesome. So Steph has a question here. She's asking about the end of year for TREPAC. Is it September 30th? What if you invest after that date?
Well, that's a great question, Steph. The end of year, yes, the TREPAC fundraising year is on a fiscal year, not the calendar year, although we wish. But the TREPAC year ends this next Monday, actually, September 30th. And that will just, if you invest after that date, it will count towards the 2020 TREPAC year. So we start right away on the new year, but we really would prefer to have you guys, if you have not completed your investment, you can do so.
Okay, very good. And a question from a candidate, actually, Rashmi Gupta. She's standing for the Woodlands Township Board Position 5. What's the best way to reach out to the realtor community individually, not as and not as nature endorsement, as she's running independent and wants to be a voice of the resident? So what would you recommend to somebody in that situation?
Well, in that situation, really, to start if you are a realtor candidate, I would start by reaching out to us here at the staff at HAR, because we can get you resources such as not only here locally, involvement with in front of our committees and meeting with them, but also at the state level they do a candidate campaign school, and so you can even go to that, and it's for all realtor candidates, and that would be awesome, and they'll teach you all the different skills. But of course, campaign managers today would tell you social media and all of that's very, very important. So
yeah, absolutely, and that sounds like a really great resource. So we have some elections coming up, but first and foremost, registering to vote. I know that some of us have seen that kind of splashed across Facebook recently.
Yeah.
It's encouraging you to either tell Facebook you're registered to vote or go ahead and register to vote. So when is the deadline for registering to vote?
Registering to vote for the deadline for this November election is October 7th. So it's right around the corner. And I agree, Facebook's been doing a really great job of promoting it out there and getting out there the knowledge of registering to vote. I, of course, didn't really know what to put because I was like, well, I've been registered to vote for a really long time. So I didn't just do it. But yes, we encourage everyone to register to vote. And if you don't know how, we have all those resources here for you.
How do you know if you're registered to vote?
You can check that online. It's all available online. But if you'll contact us here at HAR, we can send you all the websites and everything.
And if you had a recent move, it's always a good thing to double check that you are registered to vote in the correct place, right?
Yes. You always make sure you need to change your address. And that's really a great tip for realtors, actually, or even title companies, is to put a voter registration card in the closing package or in your client gift that you give them after closing, because having to do that and just mailing in right as soon as they get the new address and they're all settled, they can get it taken care of right away.
That's good. And do you guys have those cards?
We do have voter registration cards. So if you'd like to have some, we can get them to you as well. We can send them out in multiple
That's excellent.
packets.
I think that's a really great tip, because that's something you just moved. You have 100 million things that you're trying to do. You might forget to register to vote.
Right? It's like the last thing on your list, which is not the best thing to say, but we all know it is reality. So
yeah, exactly. So we know that we need to register to vote if we haven't yet, in the correct place. But what are some things that we should be looking for on the ballot this year?
Well, we have a lot on the ballot this year. As Ms. Gupta pointed out, she's a candidate for the Woodlands, and so we actually have a recommended list of candidates for the Woodlands Township that HAR has recommended, and they have an election on November. And then also there's an election in Missouri City for Missouri City Council. There's a City of Houston election too, which is a big deal in this part of town. And then also we have several ballot amendments or constitutional amendments. They call them propositions. And so that's very important information, especially the information I talked about, flooding and disaster relief and recovery, and with Senator Crichton. That is actually going to be on the ballot in November, and so we really want you to pay attention to that on the constitutional amendments. And so we'll have more information starting October 1. All of that information will be available on TexasRealtorSupport.com.
Okay. And do we put out any emails or anything to our members?
We're going to be sending out lots of emails. It's going to be in the 5-Minute Realtor. It's going to be in the Edge. It'll be we'll send out specific emails directly to you in your area, telling you about more information that's specific to your ballot.
And usually we post them on social media.
And always on social media once we kind of have the campaign rolling out. So
okay, very good. So Rubina asked, could you share the website where we can check online to see if we're registered? Do you know that website offhand?
It depends on where you are which county you're registered in. So that's
Okay.
always very important. So the majority of us are in Harris County, so it's harrisvotes.com.
Okay. And I think if you actually log into your HAR member portal, you can actually go see
It does, yes,
there as
we
well,
have
right?
you can.
Uh-huh.
And now the question is, it's very important that you give us your home address.
Okay.
So if you guys need to update that in your profile, please do so, because that really allows us to be able to tell you if you're registered to vote and tell us more about your ballot and your elected officials, because that's very important information to know, but it's all based on your home address.
I think it's really neat. If you haven't checked that out, go into your member portal and search for elected officials in the search bar. And I mean, it's amazing how many people don't know who their elected officials are. They want to voice their opinions or, concerns, complaints, etc., but they don't know who to raise those concerns to. You actually have that all listed there for them.
Yes, we do, and that's why it's so important for them to know. And we have it. The member-only portal is a vast resource of information.
Yeah.
From everything that we do, from the PAC side, from the governmental affairs side, from the political side, all of that is listed there for you to easily access that information.
Okay, very, very good. Okay, and Rashmi just asked if you could send her more details about those resources you mentioned. We can send those to her
I'd be happy
offline.
to, yes, most definitely.
Very good. And you can always reach out to Karen if anyone else is interested in those
I
resources.
have a very easy email address, karen@har.com.
We can remember that. Okay, so anything else that we need to be looking for on the ballots this year?
No, really, we covered it all.
Okay.
The constitutional amendments, the City of Houston, Missouri City, the Woodlands Township, a lot going on this year. So
Yeah.
very busy. And then we're going to start for the 2020 campaign, which I know everyone's been watching the debates and everything. So
Yes.
it's going to be a very busy political season. So.
Yes, but the important thing to remember, like you said earlier, is that TREPAC and RPAC were really focused. They're really focused on the
most
realtor
definitely.
issues, homeowner issues, private property rights. Yeah.
All of those issues that affect realtors and the homeowners of Texas every single day. Yeah.
So that, I think, was a really good explanation to the if real estate is your profession, then politics is your business, because they go hand in hand.
Yes, they really do every
Yeah.
day. And there we have
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
Well, right now, just make sure that TREPAC is a just very important piece of the puzzle. We have all of this that we've talked about is a lot. Politics side, and sometimes people are afraid of politics, but really TREPAC is the way to get involved in politics, because you can invest and you can join your voice with all the other almost 40,000 members of HAR and 1 million across the nation, and have your voice heard on these issues that are important to your industry and your career.
What I think is really neat is somebody kind of looking at your volunteers that you have. Wide range of volunteers, very different opinions on different topics, but when it comes to these realtor issues, it's one solid opinion.
Oh, most definitely. They are so far behind the realtor party as a whole, and that's really the great opportunity. It's the opportunity to come together and make it and work together and work across the aisle, work across those issues, and make our voice heard.
Yeah, very good. Anything else you wanted to share with us?
Well, like we said, it's the end of the TREPAC years
Sure.
now, and so there's several different, there's lots of opportunities to get involved. But if you're interested at all in meeting with and being on a committee that interviews these candidates and all different parts of our area, clearly we talked about one corner to the other already.
Yeah.
Please let us know. It's about time to get sign up for committees mid next month. So we'd really like to have you on our committees and have more people engaged, because you see the investors on that side, but please know that there's so many volunteers that are behind the scenes that work and meet with all these candidates every single day. And we work so hard, and we can interview up to 40 candidates in a week sometimes. And so they're busy and they represent you, and so we'd love to have everyone's voices heard,
Especially coming up on the next year, 2020. Like you
Yes.
said, it's going to be really important, and it's a good. I think it's beneficial to get a good range of different voices, realtor voices that maybe you haven't heard from yet.
Oh yes, most definitely. We want to hear from you, and we want you involved. And we know that you have opinions, and we know that we hear them sometimes on Facebook and on social media. So we want you to be at that table where we discuss these with the candidates.
So look to the Get Involved campaign that we'll be
Yes.
running next year if you want to get involved with any of the TREPAC political affairs and also governmental affairs, which
Yes.
is run by Amber Burton.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that they really talk about all the issues, all those issues that we talked about. They are the ones that sit down and make decisions on them and meet with experts. So there's lots of different ways to get involved, and they all have different names. But if you have any questions about any of them, please let us know.
Awesome. Well, Karen, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Christina. I appreciate it.
Yeah, very good. Now, don't tune away yet because we are about to draw a winner. Let's see.
I get to announce a prize. Yay!
Yeah.
That's not TREPAC related.
So you're drawing.
Okay, I'm drawing. Hold on.
Yeah.
Mix it up.
Let's see who's going to win a $50 gift card. Can you see it?
Robin Hill.
Robin
wins.
Hill, you are the winner.
Yay,
so,
congratulations, Robin. And we'll see you at Engage, too,
yes,
right?
cool. Yes, we'll see you at Engage because all these people are already registered to attend Engage, which is more than halfway sold out at this point.
Oh,
so
yay.
it's a good idea to go ahead and get your ticket for that. Remember, the pricing does go up on October 1st. So right now it's $159. It goes up to $209.
Well,
on
October 1st is a big date for lots of things.
It's a big day for a lot of things. So go ahead and get registered to attend Engage if you haven't yet. And thank you again, Karen. This has been really informative, and we'll get more information out to you guys. We'll get Karen's email address up there for you. So if you need to reach out to her with any additional questions, you can.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, so thank you for joining us for Member Focus Monday. We'll see you back next Monday at 9 a.m. We're going to be joined by Patrick Jankowski with the Greater Houston Partnership. He's going to give us an economic update so we can know what's going to be coming for this last quarter of 2019 and looking ahead to 2020.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
He's a great speaker.
Yes, he is. Well, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.